Realm of the Lizardmen. Realm of the Lizardmen. At the helm of a dungeon. It's in a black wooden box. I'm gonna flip these tiles. One side is wood, one side is rocks. Ow. Greetings, programs. It's Hankerin here with another episode of Drunkens and Dragons.
How to play D&D like a big old badass.
Right. I, a Thor-like character, dwelling here over the dungeon. Why? Oh, encounters. Right. Thor-like character, be gone! Always painful getting rid of the Thor outfit. Before I get too into this, I need to make what some folks call a dwarven asshole. Now that's just a little bit of Red Bull here. And the last of the Jaeger. Oh, don't be shy. So I guess it's about 50-50. And the reason it got that nickname is tastes exactly like Dungeons and Dragons is happening right now. We're beyond Dungeons and Dragons at this point. We are tabletop aficionados, artisanal D&D. And we're talking about Dungeon World, basic fantasy. Whew, what else are people playing? Palladium, 5th edition. People are still living in Thaco land out there. It's crazy. It's been a very eye-opening year this year, and this long journey has brought me here. Welcome to the first of a new series that I'd like to do. I cannot talk tonight. It's terrible. I present to you the Lair of the Lizardmen. So, in the entrance over here with our hero, our Helm, Stills, and their trusty fox, Foxy. Did not think of a name for the trusty fox. This adventure could be used as the very first adventure you run for your group. And I wouldn't say that a room is an adventure, but for the very first time you're going to play, if you can sit down and play something of this scale in one night, that would be a really good night. That would mean right off the bat, as new players, and even as if you're a new DM, if you could chow this up in a night, you would be really trucking. And it just goes to show where your mindset is. So a few things have come up that bind all of the room designs together and should know them pretty good by now. It's the timer, the treat, and the threat. It's the triple T's, baby. So, by the way, shout out to Triple T out in Seatown. But this is a different Triple T. This is the timer, the treat, and the threat. So, in this case, the timer in this dungeon is the flood. Now, we're going to bring the characters in through this sort of irrigation mess that's outside. The story that starts your campaign is that a flood has hit the village of Westburg, and the floodwaters are so powerful they swept a lot of people out of town and down a cataract into a series of canyons and drainages and caverns. At total random, Stills, this little goblin who is in the middle of stealing some bread from a store, his trusty fox, Foxy, and then Helm, who used to be a village guard, and also this old man. By complete chance, they bump into each other in the floodwaters, grab hands, pull, get me out of here, hold on to a bush, cows going by, castles floating. Then they find their way into this little cataract of stone, which is an old elven ruin. And this bush helps them in, and they escape the floodwaters in this little cavern. That is the entire setup for your campaign right there. So, the Cavern of the Lizardmen. Little do they know they have stumbled into the Cavern of the Lizardmen. Now, to go back would be certain death as the floodwaters are rushing by. This is their only hope. And if they actually send a scout back here to take a look, the floodwaters are actually encroaching. It's getting worse. So, there's your imminence, there's your group getting together, and there's common purpose right there. So we have our characters, which we rolled up with the live Q&A session. We got Stills, Alzheimer, Helm, and Foxy, and they're about to go in here. So not only are we doing the encounter design tonight, but I get to goof around with my new sort of 2.5D setup with my little modular doors. So that'll be fun. Hear that whoop whoop, pennies on the bottom. Probably do a video on all these guys pretty soon. So what are the pieces to the dungeon? First of all, the timer. The floodwaters, them's a-comin'. So anytime play starts to slow down as the players are moving around here, just say, oh man, well the water is starting to pour in the side of this room. Just interrupt them. Or you can get out your, I don't know where I put it. your handy dandy little sand timer and make that your kind of water timer per room that they're kind of dwelling in. And if they start talking too much or the game starts to drag, you just say the floodwaters are coming. Okay, great. So that's your timer. Right here by the gelatinous cube is a nice little plant tile. So it's just a 1x1 cube with a nickel glued to the bottom, so it has some nice weight, and a little plant. So if they get that plant, they get 3d8 little nibbles of healing, bushes. Healing sewer bushes. Of course they're going to eat healing sewer bushes. It's the spirit lichen. Freddy Fungus and Ali Algae got to spirit lichen each other. I don't know. So that's the treat. The timer, the flood. The treat, the healing sewer root. And finally, the threat, we have the Lizardmen. We have the green fiend here who guards the exit. Actually, normally I think he'd be guarding against intruders coming in this way. But since these guys kind of got washed in the back door, so he might actually be default turned around like that. We also have a skeleton here, which is, we'll get into that. And then we have 2 hidden packs of rats. Now, if your players were coming into something this complicated, you wouldn't have the board out to start. Or you might, as a sort of a stylistic choice. But you would actually build this as they moved into the space, if you want to really simulate that feeling of discovery. Doing that, you do need to have your board well practiced. So know it in your head so that you can lay it out pretty quickly. And I'm sure a lot of you DMs out there are doing this, but you have your parts laying here and you just kind of... That's the timer, that's the treat, and that's the threat. The Lizardmen, the skeleton, the gelatinous cube if they're going back there. Also, I wouldn't really introduce beginning players to things like darkness, fear, a lot of listening and stuff like that. I would go very easy on all that stuff. Just get them to do some attacks and figure out some situations. So what are the situations, you say? The stick is too damn long. Hey, this is a 2-handed stick. This bad boy off. Tavern of the Lizardmen. They're gonna come in, they can work this door, they can listen to it. It's not locked, it's the back door basically, and you can remove that and get it out of the way. And then they are coming in, doop-a-doop. Oh crap, there's a Lizardman. Now a lot of things could happen right here. We could have Stills sneak in. He pops out, and we'll cut him a break. These 2 lizard guards kind of aren't paying much attention. And you give the players the option. So always give your players some time to work with the board a little bit before you just ambush them. Unless it's exclusively designed as an ambush, there's some control in the universe. Instead of just, okay, you're barely sniffing around and then, oh god, giant spider on my face. So, give him a little chance. So he comes back and reports. He says, oh, there's Lizardmen in there. What do you think? Should we charge in or should I sneak in? Regardless of what the players do, eventually you get them into this space. And if they're really lollygagging and they're afraid of the Lizardmen, just bring the floodwaters in and just pushes them in. They might even have to barely have time to get this door back down before the floodwaters are coming in. So maybe it jams right there and the floodwaters keep coming under the door. Oh no, you're gonna flood out in here. Okay, so they come in and then you just want to run all your basic battle stuff. Okay, so basic battle stuff being the guys attack. Okay, they roll d20. They hit the Lizardman armor class, do some damage. Oh god! And DM's like, hey, whoop-de-doo. He just 6 damage. And then, I shoot the other guy with a bow and arrow. Ooh, he took 4 damage. Whoosh, roll damage. Alright, great. You just got through a couple of rounds real quick. Now as the DM, I would either just go ahead and kill these guys off or somehow build some suspense. Like you hear creaking in the distance. When one guy dies, the other guy runs for it. So let's do that one. He runs in here knowing there's going to be reinforcements. You guys are low level, so you don't really have a way to stop him or kill him quickly. You give chase, take a look at doors. Now here's the moment when players can be so unpredictable. You could think they're going to work their way through the doors and then they're going to see the blockers and get the key and all this stuff. No, that's not what they're going to do. Is split up and somebody's going to fly in the water, another guy's going to pretend to be a tree. It's just going to get crazy in here, so just be ready for that. You can pick it. You go through, doop-a-doop-a-doo, go down, and here's this is the bad guy. So you chase him in. Let's say Helm went by himself. He goes down. Oh, let's make a couple attack rolls. Ah, I'm dead. There's a weird statue in this room, and this is your next important room. And you go up, there's an inscription that says he was once called Helm, the great savior of the realm. But here now, never in hell. Welcome to the tomb of Rel. You. So Helm, the player, is actually entombed in this cavern of lizardmen for some bizarre reason. And he looks up at the statue. It looks exactly like him. In his type, his style of armor, but in much more advanced armor. And he's like, looks all heroic and immortalized. And he's just like, how can this be? But before he can really absorb it, the skeleton comes out from under the mausoleum here, attacks, he fights it, attack roll, attack roll, attack roll, oh, I killed it, woo, great, that was close, too bad I'm alone. Then he looks down and he realizes it's his own buried skeleton. So he either goes crazy or role plays something crazy here. He's like, what the what? You guys, I'm in the tomb thingy. Okay, meanwhile, we got these other two rooms. Room here, this spike trap is not going to be visible just because it's sitting out there. It's actually going to be in your coat sleeve like this. And then when the players, if they step on any tiles besides the rim, it springs it, and they're all spike mofied. This is one of the simplest traps you can ever get to have cool effect on your group. Is simple rules like always walk around the centers of rooms, or rules like always go through the centers of the room. The edges are always really deadly. So you got to create your own tropes a little bit. So for this spike trap, any of the center tiles, so let me put that aside. So as you can see, this is a 5x5. So you get a nice 3x3 square in the center, and that fits the spikes just right. So that's cool. They go through there, a couple people take damage. None of this is really activated. They creep around here. You use the fear of the gelatinous cube in the cube room. It's this strange presence. You give it the description, you know, the skeleton is in there and there's swords on the ground and shit, and it's like, what died in here? They wind up fighting the gelatinous cube. They will not be able to beat the gelatinous cube. If they fight it, they will die. One of them will get suffocating with the engulf, or they'll flee. They grab the healing plant, get the hell out of there. So that's that whole corner of the dungeon. No story down there. The story is right here. So Crazy Helm comes back out. These guys come out. Whoa, dude, we found a healing plant in there. There's a gelatinous cube. Okay, cool. Let's go to that final door where we heard those noises. All right, cool. Get out of here. There we go. And then we come up finally to the green fiend who is guarding this door. It also has this big spike trap by the doors. So, hey, we want to come in here and frickin' kill you. Well, I guess that's my function in this dungeon, is guarding this stinking door. So in the boss room here for the green fiend, we have collapsible rocks. So these rocks can be pushed over, can be tumbled, can be pulled. You can do all kinds of crazy things. And then we have tumbleable columns as well. So these big wooden columns. One of them is within distance of falling on a giant fire here. We have a hidden pack of rats. So you have your green fiend start fighting. Oh God, we're in another battle. Let's get in here. I'm old. And then they start fighting. And if the tide starts to turn too much for the players, have your rats jump out. Oh God, I'm a pack of rats. Running a pack of rats is really easy. Look it up in the book. Make a simpler version for yourself. So they fight this guy. Oh, they finally get him down. And they find a strange looking metal pin in his sort of loot grab. So it's like 5 gold, ragged pants, and a weird metal pin. So you come out here to the exit, and the final thing is on the right side of the exit, there's a little grotto in the stone where this pin fits in. If you don't put the pin in and step on this last wooden square, this huge spike wall by the exit door smashes you for a ton of damage. So it's an exit troll. Guard stuff. Really simple puzzle. Really simple resolution, and get that whole thing I just described done in 2 or 3 hours. Truth is, like, if people ask deeper questions, if they research things closely and they make knowledge rolls or history rolls, you do have what happened. Like, when did this get carved? Who are these guys that live in here, and how long have they been there, and why actually do you think the tomb is there? My answer would be that actually somehow the player Helm has time traveled way forward in time to try to rescue something, to try to get some big mission done, and in so doing sort of was reborn and forgot his old life. And it's you. Well, it's not you, it's one of the players. Now the other 2 players are going to be kind of like, well damn, the whole world's revolving around this guy. So make sure that your very next set of encounters, your very next board, or very next room as I call them, is all about Stills, the goblin rogue. So an idea might be they make it out of the cavern of the Lizardmen through this ascending exit right here. It comes back to the surface. the floods have started to recede, and like brigands and looters are running wild. And they're attacking like Stills' goblin slave family who like worked in the kitchens. So the players are put in this weird situation where they have to save a bunch of goblins from looting brigands and thieves after the flood disaster. And so you instantly put the players into a moral world of ambiguity where goblins are generally evil, but they have one in their party and they see that they can be good, and now things are a little bit thrown into whack, or out of whack. If they're into whack, everything would be great. In keeping with the traditions of the channel, I'm going to have to finish this horrible beverage. Why Red Bull? Why do your cans slosh in a strange way? I need artisanal Red Bull cans. Damn it! Yeah, this video is gonna need some close-ups, alright. Oh yeah, I can practically smell the close-ups. Oh, there's one more thing. Room DC. DC 13 for this whole central section. Every constitution check because it smells horrible. Every strength check because the doors are all stuck. Every charisma check to scare off the lizardmen. Finish that whole thing, you go through this door and poof, you're in DC 15 land. It's not so good. As a matter of fact, if you can find monsters whose armor classes match the DC, it's even better. Because you just get this feeling of tuning. And then when the tuning clicks up a notch, you can feel it. You know, the best game to do that was Dragon Quest. 1 and 2 damage for so long that when you click to like 4, it was like, yes! I can kill anything with 4 damage. Campaign encounters, guys. Part 1, Cavern of the Lizardmen. It's time for the bard to sing about the room we see. It's time to name a rhyme for rooms 1, 2, and 3. 1 is where you're flooded in, and 2, there is a fight. Foxy is the name of the fox, and seeing the statue ain't right. He's a hero from the past. Lizardmen never last. If you go across the spike pit, do it fast. Gelatinous cube is irrelevant to the story, and there's a green fiend with a higher DC. Rat pack on me. Hello, do you think you're out of the dungeon? I would like to give you 2d6 more damage before you leave. It'd have to be more than 13 years for there to be an ancient stone mausoleum erected in your honor. A little more than 13 years, probably more like 1300 years. Lizardmen are green. Lizardmen are green. Driving a freighter. I got a whole freighter full of D&D over here. It's a modular floor system. Servermin gasid washlua. Servermin washibu. I'm gasid gasid. You should know that. Servermin washibu.